Hello, thank you for joining. I'm just going to give it another minute for people to join, and then I'll get started. Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar where I'm going to talk to you about how to master your charts. My name is Casper, and for those who don't know who I am, I'm a part of the support team and have been with Workbooks for close to 1 year now. I'm joined by my colleague Ansel, who will be monitoring the questions and will be on hand for any technical issues in the background. She may respond to you while I'm talking. As some of you may already be aware, we're currently running a series of webinars where we're going through the basics of reporting within Workbooks. Thank you to those who have already attended some of the previous sessions. I hope you'll be able to gain some useful tips or skills which have helped you so far. Reporting was one of the most requested topics, and the first half of the year has been focused on that, but now we're going to be expanding into other topics in the second half of the year. For those who may be joining for the first time, we're running a series of webinars every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. BST. If you have missed any of the previous sessions, these can be found on our website. And on your screen now, you should be able to see the program of topics we've covered so far and the next ones over the next few months. So we hope to see you on lots of sessions moving forward. Alternative to these webinars, we do also offer a monthly 2-day on-site reporting course where we cover certain topics in more depth to help build your reporting skills and knowledge. If you'd like more information about this, please reach out to your account manager and they can go through the details of booking the course. So far, a lot of the webinars have been focused on building reports, including formatting. Alongside this formatting, it's crucial to make the information in your database of all reports easy to understand, and sometimes a chart is a really good way to do that. So today's topic, as I said, is mastering your charts, which means we'll be focused on how you can create a chart to graphically represent information from your reports. As you can see on the screen, the agenda for this webinar consists of the types of charts that you can create, using charts with targets to show what's been achieved, adding charts to dashboards and springboards, and finally, I'll cover any questions that have come in. I would also like to note that this session is being recorded and will be sent to everyone after the webinar. Displaying your data visually on a chart is a great way to explain the contents of your report and to provide actionable insights into what's happening within your business. Like reports, charts can be added to dashboards, or they can be sent out in scheduled emails. Workbook supports the creation of 4 different types of charts. Bar charts are probably the most used type, and they're ideal for tracking the performance of individuals or of a team. Bar charts can include targets, providing visual representations of progress against them. You can see this in an example on the bottom left, which shows project progress. Line charts are useful for tracking trends over time. They work especially well in reports with split columns, as multiple lines can be shown on a single chart for easy comparison. Pie charts let you see your data as proportions of a whole. For example, they're useful for comparing lead sources or case types. This can help identify where resources may need to be allocated. You can also convert pie charts into donut charts and use interactions such as rotating or toggling segments on and off from the legend. Now, the final chart to look at is a dial chart, which shows progress against an overall target, ideal for metrics like the percentage of unresolved cases or total sales against an annual goal. You can set custom color ranges, e.g. red, amber, green, to show how far along you are. For instance, unresolved cases above 20 might show in red, while values under that are green. So let's move into workbooks and create some charts. Cool. So here I have a report that is built on opportunities, and I have columns for sales rep, total amount, and the total amount split by opportunity stage. Before I get started, I just want to note that you must use a summary view to create a chart. And this is because charts are designed to visualize aggregated data, making it easy to identify trends and patterns at a glance. So the first type of chart that I'm going to create is a bar chart. To do this, you just come to Actions and click Chart as View. And as I said, I'll select a bar chart. And before I get started, I just want to give you an overview of this menu, because there's a lot of different fields there. So on the left, we have data series, which shows it's for the vertical axis. And on the right, we have category for the horizontal axis. Then we have legend, styling, and scale here on the left, which are mostly used to customize your chart. And that's really up to your preferences. And then the final section is advanced, which very much changes depending on what type of chart we're creating. For bar charts, you can see we have bar orientation, whether it's 3D or stacked. So let's get started with our chart. I'm going to call this one opportunity total amounts split by stage per sales rep. I'll give that a capital S. So I want to show total amount split by stage, and it's already added my sales rep column to my horizontal axis, so I don't need to change that. So let's just click create the chart and see what that gives me. Nice. So I can see each member of my sales team and the total amount for each stage of their opportunities. Though I would much prefer a lot more of a compact view. So I'm just going to go up to Edit, and in Advanced, I can choose to have the data as stacked. So if I just simply tick that and save and close, now I still have a column for each member of my team, but now it shows their total amounts at the top and each section is visible. And if need be, I can always toggle which sections just by clicking the key at the bottom. So I would also like to add that if you click on any of these sections, you can easily drill into that information, which will provide information from your details tab of your report. So just before I move on to my next chart, I'd like to also add that this has been added as a new view. So you can just click on that whenever you fancy, and it will open up your chart again. So my next report, I'm also going to be creating a bar chart, but this time I'm going to be looking at targets. So as you can see, my sales team has various targets and various stages of achieving those. If you've not used targets before, don't worry, I'll be covering how to set up targets in a future webinar. So, same as last time, if I click Chart this view, select Create a bar chart again, and I will call this one Sales Rep Pipeline Totals versus Target. So it's only offering one column to me because that's all I've brought into my summary view. And similarly to last time, it's already added the sales rep column to my horizontal axis. So you may or may not have noticed, it's also added an extra section to this configuration, targets. Currently, by default, it shows no, but I will switch that to yes. There is the other option of yes with conditional styling, but one thing at a time. So if I click create the chart, there we go. Now I can see all my bars with top hat targets, which gives great visualization of how close or how far above each member of my team is. The alternative way to display this with the conditional styling, I will quickly show and demonstrate now. So I have a secondary summary view here with only a few members of my team, and this has some conditional styling. If you're not familiar with conditional styling, there was a previous webinar that a colleague of mine, Milo, ran, so feel free to check out the recording of that. So again, I'll click Chart This View, create a bar chart, and I will call this one Sales Rep Pipeline Totals versus Targets with Styling. I'll select the same column, and it's already got sales rep here for me. Now, instead of just yes, I'll select yes with conditional styling. Create chart. And now we can see there's a solid gray bar to show how far each member of my team has come, and a green, yellow, and red in the background, which represents targets. So I can see Alison has done phenomenally and has achieved well above her target. I do understand there are quite a few sections within the configuration of a chart, so I really encourage you to play around, find what works for you, and feel free to rewatch this webinar if you need a reminder at any point. Now, on to the next type of chart. So, as you can see, my report has each month of the year broken down from 2020 to this year. This chart will allow for a graphical comparison. So this time I'll go chart this view. As I said, we'll be creating a line chart. I will call this sales per month, year on year. I'll select my net home currency split by year, as that's what I'd like to show on the graph. And yes, I would like the order month to be my label. And I don't think there's anything else I want to show currently, but just to give you an insight into what the advanced section shows for line charts, it shows markers, so what actually appears on the graph, values above line, which I'll come to in a second, which just shows the numerical value above the plot on the graph, showing the values when you put your mouse on top, and filling the space under the line, which I'll also demonstrate. So if I just create this line chart, great. Though this can be a bit hard to read, especially when there are outliers. So I will, as I just said, quickly come back into Edit and select Show Values Above Line. Now if I just save and close, now I can see the values of each month above the line. For a quick comparison, I'll just use the key at the bottom of the chart and toggle all but the final two. Though this is quite hard to read as well. So I'm just going to go back into Edit at the top left, and actually change the styling. I quite like the colorblind safe palette, but I'm just going to reverse it so that the colors aren't quite so similar for those 2 years. I'll save and close, turn off all the others. So now I can see quite easily the difference between 2024 to 25 and 2025 to 26. Now, the final thing I will show you for line charts is back in Edit and Advanced. I will enable fill space under line, which will show you that it then fills the space under the line with that color, which can just add an extra level to making it clearer. Cool. Now, onto a fun one. Pie charts. My new report focuses on the product categories that my company sells and how much total sales have accumulated. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to create a bar or a line chart on the percentage values of this, so a pie chart would be more suitable, as it visually represents proportions of a whole more clearly. So again, on the left under Actions, I will chart this view, and this time create a pie chart. So there are slightly fewer options this time, but we can still customize this report lots. I will call this one products sold as a percentage. And I will select the data column total sales, and it's already given me the product category as my label, so I'll keep that. For now, I'll just click Create Chart and see what that gives me. Great. So it's given me my pie chart, and each section is clearly labeled, and I can see which is which. If the screen, well, if the window, I mean, isn't maximized, the labels disappear, but if you hover your mouse over them, the label shows. But this isn't ideal for, well, if I actually want the values. So if I go into Edit, and I will just open up these advanced, and I would love to show the percentage alongside label and show the value alongside label. And I will save and close that. So now, depending on if it can fit the label inside the section of the pie, it either has displayed the value, label, and percentage in or outside of the slice. And similarly, if I hover over, it shows those two. So, I would also like to say again that if you click on this, you can easily drill into the information from the underlying reports for a more in-depth view. So now for customization, the fun bit. In advance of pie charts, you can make these 3D and a donut. So if I save and close that, now my pie chart is a 3D donut. As you may have just noticed, you can rotate this just by holding down left click, which can be very helpful for if you have lots of smaller segments on one side and need to just move it around to read them a bit easier. You can, similarly to other charts, also choose which sections show and hide just by clicking the key at the bottom. All right, let's move on to the final type of chart, dial charts. Dial charts help display information quickly against different segments, allowing for a quick visualization of how close to a target your data is, such as how many cases you have open or a sales target you need to meet by the end of the quarter. Exactly the same as other charts. I click Chart this view, and this time I'll be creating a dial chart. So I will call this unresolved cases, as I want to display the percentage of cases open in a quick to read way. So let's just run this and see what I've got, since it's already filled out a data column and a label column for me. This isn't quite right. First of all, it's not a percentage and it's only out of 10. So I'll go back into edit in the top left, and it looks like I need to change what it's looking at. So I'll go to percentage unresolved, and I'd like the label to be the same, so it looks at the percentage. Alongside this, I'm going to need to update my ranges. I'm going to change the color order to be green, amber, red, because fewer cases open, the better. So I will change segment 1 to be 10, segment 2 to be 25, and let's say the maximum is 50. So if I just save and close after making those changes, there we go. Now, as you can see, the label is appropriate with my percentage value. And it looks like we're in amber, but very close. We're very close to being in the green. But I would really recommend playing around with each chart, figuring out which works for you and your data. So now that I've made some charts, it would be great to see them without having to go into each report. And as a sales manager, I have access to a sales management dashboard. That's currently on my Springboard. And I would really like to add my pie chart and my sales targets bar chart to this dashboard. A quick and easy way to do this, if you've already got this on your Springboard, is to just click this arrow, which will open up the dashboard. An alternative way to get here is by going Start, Dashboards, and then finding it within that landing page view. So now that I've got the dashboard open, I can press this menu and edit this dashboard. Then if I navigate to the Layout tab, you can see that I have the ability to add a new item to the dashboard. I want to display a chart, and it will open this new window up for me. I will select my report, and if I remember correctly, pipeline with targets is the report which contained the bar chart with targets. I will note that only reports with charts will be listed here. So I'll select that one, and I want the one with styling. So if I save and close, that has added it to the end of my dashboard. And I will move that up in a second. So if again, I go to Add, Chart, select Products Sold by Category, and there we go. Since that's the only chart available for that report, it's already brought through my pie chart correctly. I'll also save and close, and that has also added it at the bottom of my dashboard. I'd really like these to be at the top, so if I just hold down my left mouse and drag, I'll pop that on the right at the top, And I'll do the same with my bar charts on the left at the top. And there they are. Though looking at the other items on my dashboard, my pie chart doesn't really fit in with all those colors. It's a bit of a clash. So I'm going to go back and update the color scheme here. Oh, sorry, wrong section. I'm going to go back to my report, open up the pie chart, click Edit, and change the styling. And I think shades of green would look good with the other items on my dashboard. If I just save and close that and go back to my dashboard, that will automatically update. So if I just save that, and now my springboard has updated with the two charts that I added with my brand new color scheme. That's much better. So let's jump back into the slides. So to recap, Workbooks offers 4 types of charts: bar, line, pie or donuts, and dial. You must use a summary view to create a chart. You can customize each chart with advanced settings, including color palettes, label and axis options, legends, targets, and conditional formatting. You can't change a chart's type after it's been created, but you can delete and recreate it very easily. Explore the settings, experiment, and see what works for you to get the best view of your data. So let's see if we have any questions. Okay, so we have a question here from Rachel, who's asked, can you customize the colors to specific colors for specific items or people? Unfortunately, not currently. This is in our product roadmap, but unfortunately you currently cannot. You can use any of the palettes available, and if you are using the same data on a specific dashboard, you might be able to, depending on what results are showing, have similar colors for the same person or value, but currently you can't assign a color to anyone. Cool, and we have another one from Dan, who wants to know if you can create multiple charts from the same report view. Yes, you can. I know I created a chart per summary view, but you can create multiple. You might want to use a bar chart for a quick comparison, or and then alongside that, you might want a line chart for trends, all from the same underlying summary view. It really depends on what data you've included there. Okay. If there are no other questions, our next webinar is snapshot reporting, where you'll be learning how to flatten data and analyze trends. And that will be on the 9th of July at 4 p.m. BST. Until then, if you do need help with a report, you can check out our knowledge base. For support contacts, you can get a hold of the support team either by email, phone, or using our case portal. You can also reach out to your account manager. And finally, we do have some videos on our website on the following topics: end user training, reporting, importing, and system administration. You will also be able to find the recording for this webinar, along with our past ones at the link on the screen and selecting webinar recordings. And that's everything for this session. Thank you for attending, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.